Hello and welcome to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about how kids refuse to listen to adults.
So the big question is this: how are parents like us, who don't have a manual, who are doing the best we can, who feel as though we aren't enough, how are we going to raise healthy, happy children who we are proud of and still keep our sanity in that process? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Ryan Roy, and welcome to I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, a podcast for parents who are being real with themselves.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about how some children refuse to listen to adults. So I just did yesterday the broadcast or the podcast on, what I thought about having kids be obedient to parents. And I thought, and I've done some, podcasts around, hey, we need to do this as a village. As the journey goes on with this podcast, I start thinking back to some of the episodes and some of just the stories that I share with this audience around, the things that are happening in my life. And it goes back to my son, several months ago, getting a Pokeman card stolen from him on the bus. And just last night, I'm at Boy Scouts with my son, and I'm talking to that particular kid's father from the episode with the Pokeman card several months ago. The quick story on that is for those who didn't listen to that episode. Basically, my son came crying off the bus one day. He had brought his Pokeman card, his best one, to school, or a stack of them. Some kid asked to look at him, hands back the stack. His best card's missing. Kid says, I don't know where it is. I must have lost it, blah, blah, blah. He comes off. He's like, I let somebody look at my cards. He told me the kid, I know the kid's father, call the father, say, look, I'm not accusing anybody, but this is the scenario. Dad talks to the kid has the Pokemon card, right? Goes over, apologizes to my son, gives the card back, so on and so forth. No big deal. Water under the bridge, kids will be kids. Lessons learned, lots of lessons learned. But the cool thing is, as I'm discussing just random other things with this father, there are two kids in the parking lot of the space where we hold Boy Scouts, and there's a big, huge puddle. It hadn't rained much, but I don't know where this puddle came from, and the kids are stomping in the puddle. Now, I'm not talking about 3 or 4 and 5 year olds where you could think like, hey, they're stomping in the puddle. And the father I'm talking to says, hey, kids, look, let's not play in the puddle. Your parents aren't going to appreciate that. It's 7:30 at night. They got to go home. They don't want the kids to have soaking wet clothes on. And there was a boy and a girl. And the little girl kind of looked, and she kind of tempted again. And he says, hey, I asked you not to do that. Your parents aren't going to appreciate you coming home soaking wet. So the little girl kind of walks off, and the little boy, straight up, keeps bouncing and running through the puddle. And now he knew the kid's name, and he says, hey, Zachary, did you hear me? And Zachary said, yes. And Zachary then went and stomped through the puddle again. And I looked at him, and I was like, what's wrong with that kid? He says, if his father was here, his father would be so disappointed. I said, regardless of his father being here. So as he went there, I just looked, and I was like, look, I'm going to do something about it. And I just went, and the kid walked through the puddle and walked about 10 feet past the puddle and was knocking off his shoes, getting the footprints onto the pavement and stuff. And he turned around to come back through that puddle again, and I was just standing there. And I said, do you have a hard time listening to adults, young man? And he says, nope. And I said, then why do you continue to go through the puddle? And he turns his back to me and starts walking away like, I'm not listening to you. And I said, whoa. I said, excuse me, young man, I was speaking to you. He says, my name's not young man, as he's walking away. I said, if you could stop, turn around, look me in the eyes, and share with me your name, I'll address you by your name. And he throws his head over his shoulder and says, my name's Zachary. I said, well, Zachary, in the world I come from, you respect your adults. And maybe I haven't earned your respect, but you definitely haven't earned mine. I suggest, moving forward, you listen to adults in the future. And he just kept walking. Here's the challenge as I went back to the father I was talking to. He goes, oh my goodness, his father would be so mad. I said, but that's the challenge. We don't need his father to be mad. We need his father to talk to him and make him sit down and let him know that if an authoritative figure is speaking to you, you at least listen and try to respect it. But my guess is he doesn't respect his own father. So he's sure as heck not going to respect me or you. And then here's the problem with society. Oof. 99% of people just don't want to get involved. 99% of people are saying, oh, that kid's got crappy parents. 99% of people aren't coaching him or teaching him or parenting him and getting a result because the kid didn't listen. And you know, the fact of the matter is, and I'm not judging the other dad here. He's like, oh, you know, his dad would be mad. Like, he didn't listen to you. Like, I don't care about his father. He didn't listen to you. What are you going to do about him not listening to you? What are you going to say? What seeds are you going to plant in him that will get him to think? So when he didn't do something, I went and did something. Now, I don't know how much I did, but I guarantee you I got that kid to think through my actions. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell at him. I didn't raise a fist to him. I didn't do anything. I just prevented him from doing what we were asking him to do by standing between him and the puddle. And then when I asked him a simple question, he tried to walk away. Because at that point, right, he couldn't jump in the puddle. He knew he was in the wrong. He wanted to divert and walk away from the challenge. Then he's got to throw a smart remark out there, right? Well, my name's not young man. You know, and I could have stooped to his level and said, well, punk, or all the others. I didn't do that. Well, if you turn around and look me in the eye and share with me your name, I'll call you by your name, right? I met him where he's at. Like, I don't mind calling you by your name, but I don't know your name. And then I gave him some words of wisdom. I suggest, I didn't tell him what he needs to do. I suggest moving forward, you listen to parents, authoritative figures, adults in your life when they're giving you advice. The challenge as I see it, one, parents aren't doing an exceptional job of parenting in their own home, right? But we have a lot of distractions. But secondly, and more importantly, people take offense when other people are trying to pour into their children. A part of me thinks that father would be upset for me for talking to his son in a way in which he does not. I could care less. Because if my son is doing something that he's not supposed to be doing, and some other adult catches him doing it, I would be more disappointed in the adult for not saying something than allowing my kid to misbehave. Like, he doesn't know any better. We need a village of people doing it. But everybody's so damn sensitive these days. Like, I don't know jack about parenting, and that's why I need people who might know something about parenting to help me in my journey. I need people to pour into my son. I talked about baseball, man. It's exciting for me to go to baseball practice and somebody else coach my son on something that I don't know something about. I love to watch him be coached by somebody else and respond by another adult figure who basically knows what they're talking about, an area I don't know what I'm talking about. He's learning from a group of people, not just me. I embrace that. Now, look, if somebody gave us some bad advice and he questioned it and he came to me and he said, Dad, well, what's the scenario here? I may say, listen, not everybody has the same values as you and I or this family. However, they are an adult and they mean well. So you listen. You do what they ask you to do. You take it with a grain of salt. We can walk away from it. We don't ever have to do it again. But we don't get in confrontations with adults. That's called parenting, because that's the real world. Like even though I don't like things my boss has said or things that people had me do, I've done them in my life, but then I created scenarios in myself where I didn't have to do them anymore. And until you're capable of doing that, you gotta listen to the authoritative figure. And I don't know jack about parenting, and I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but that's the way I see it. Kids need to be parented by a village, because not everybody is as capable or has the tools in their toolbox to do this thing we call parenting on their own. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want to be the dad you wish you had? If so, go get my free book, Be the Dad You Wish You Had, at BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com. Inside, you'll find my most effective 40 tips to quickly and easily transform yourself into the ideal dad. Go to BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com now and get it while it's free.